Welcome back to another episode of I'm Really Into That Stuff. This is the podcast that features me, Jana Stern, psychic activator, energy healer, and astrologer, as I delve into deep conversations with different folks in the holistic and conscious industries about the many beliefs, practices of spirituality, mental health, what it means to be a human who's into that stuff in the 2020s and beyond. Welcome to another episode of I'm Really Into That Stuff. This is a really exciting episode. I feel like I say this every single time I start an episode, but I just love these opportunities. I am joined today by my sweet friend Coco, who is an artist and the co-founder of Stardust Society, creator and crystal collector, and now seller. I'd love for you to give people a little bit of an intro about who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining or listening or watching, whatever you're doing. Jana, I love you. Thanks for having me on here. So, a little bit about me. I have been in the NFT space since 2021. I've been an artist my whole life. Since I was very little, I felt called to express myself with colors and shapes. And it felt like art allowed me to express who I was and explore who I was without having to speak. I was a
Mm.
really shy kid. And so what I wore or what I created was how I drew people towards me. That's kind of where my story started as my artist origin story. I went from high school to art school. I studied fashion design for 2 years. And then I eventually majored in art history. Couldn't really find my footing in art for a while. Went through some personal struggles with addiction, came out of that about 3 years ago, and have just been on a journey ever since. So, right before I entered the NFT space, I was starting this journey, and there's no coincidence to that. And so, I've just been searching for my identity, how I express myself now, what my art looks like now as an adult, and really finding myself again and learning to love myself and trust myself and uh, be as free as possible. That is the goal, as free as happy as possible. In my working life, I am a founder of a company I started called Stardust 17. It's also an NFT project with art that I created. I also have a mineral business as well, a passion project I've started recently, and also to release some of my collection that I've built up over the past year. That's kind of me. I live in California. I love hiking and the beach and being outdoors.
I love it. I'd love for you to share with people how you got onto this spiritual path. I'd love to learn a little bit about how you got into it all and where it is for you now on your journey.
Yeah, I'm really into that stuff too. And it's always changing, but it's always something that brings me back to my soul. For me, my spiritual journey started very young, raised
Mm,
in evangelical Christian church
right.
in Ohio. Parents heavily involved in church. My mom was the right hand of the pastor. My dad was a deacon. And so that was the environment I was raised in. So while I was raised with a, I would say a profound spirituality from birth and a connection to something higher than me, it was also riddled with a lot of fear and rules and confinement. And
Mm.
it didn't feel quite right. And there's even some trauma there too that I think many church kids would tell you.
Hey,
Um,
what kind?
no, okay. Hello. But yeah, white Jesus is toxic as fuck. And there's a lot of problems that I think our generation is starting to kind of dismantle
Mm,
things, question things. And in the, we call it evangelical community, go through something called deconstruction. So I followed the Christian spirituality path until I had left my small town for high school. I went from small town Ohio to New York City for fashion
Damn.
school. I wanted that change of perspective because I knew that I was missing something. And that's where I fell in love with culture and people who are different than me, people who had different religions than me, and my questions for hell. And because I had been raised to evangelize everyone around me
Mm.
and save them from hell, I began to question that as soon as I left home.
That's so much pressure.
Yeah, it's a deep seated fear that I was unraveling that and questioning that and still kind of going to church at the same time because that's all I knew. And I still loved God. I felt God. That was real and tangible to me.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, there was this incident that happened that kind of cut me off of the church.
Mhm.
And I was like, there's no way I can morally support this institution anymore. And so I left. And in leaving, I left everything I knew about life, about people, about the afterlife, deep stuff. Everything I knew was like, was it all a lie? Is God real? I was really, really lost. It was a huge mind fuck at the time. And now, many, many years out of that period of my life, I
Mhm.
am really grateful that the universe led me through that. And I'm sure as hell grateful to be on the other side now and be over that sort of like mind fuck unravelingness. But I'm so grateful now for that because I think there's just passion and like, an empathy for people all around the world that I don't feel tied to an identity anymore like that. I welcome your identity, your culture, your religion. I can relate to you in all of that. I can find something to relate to you, no matter how different we may see, because of our shared humanity. And that's the lesson that this has all ultimately helped me come to fruition. But yeah, so left the church, was spiraling.
As we do, as the best of us do.
When you leave the church.
Or
Um,
when you leave any kind of story of self behind, you're like, well, if I'm not that, what am I?
yeah,
You got to get lost to get found.
yeah, and I got lost as hell. My first tattoo it says, "Not all who wander are lost." When I was 19, when I
Yeah.
was lost as fuck.
So you lost yourself in addiction and then found your way to the spiritualist.
Yeah, so for me, coping with that
Mm.
spiral was numbing, and I didn't know that level of mental torment. I never was given the tools to properly deal with something like that. I was always told to pray and that God would take it away.
Well, and there must also have been a layer, correct me if I'm wrong, of it's my job to save everybody. And if I'm not meant to do that, what am I meant to
Yeah,
do?
yeah. What is my purpose? This meaningless, then just fuck everything. I'm
Right.
gonna go numb myself
Mhm.
to like pray because there's nothing left for me here. Soul was like, I want out. I don't want to do this. And so that's what I did for many years in my 20s until I ended up losing pretty much everybody, everything. I was rock bottom, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And the only thing was up. And thank God for that because I was able to turn my life around, to connect with so many people who were going through the exact same thing as me. Spoiler alert, my story is not unique. We can all relate to each other with these traumatic things that we carry with us our whole lives. And so important to connect with other people in that. And that's what sobriety was for me. It was amazing to connect with other people who not only were also numbing their uncomfortable feelings, but also had trauma, also felt lost. And it gave me the opportunity to really take it back to basics step by step, how to at least feel like a morally sound person again. I used to do AA and stuff like that. And something we
Sure.
always did was to have self esteem, you have to do esteemable acts. And so basically, AA teaches you how to do esteemable acts, how to get up and brush your teeth in the morning and then not have a panic attack on the way to work, but look through that feeling because it's going to pass. Stuff like that for the first time in my life as a 27-year-old adult changed my life, totally catapulted me on the trajectory of finding more spiritual solutions that felt more like me. Because I
Mm.
think first, when I was finally open again to spiritual solution, I would take anything. And as I grew and evolved in that, it was like, okay, no, I can take what I want and leave the rest, and I can keep searching. And then one answer in one group. Uh, and so I've been on that searching journey ever since.
Yeah, that's the best journey because then you can start to engage with different people and really ask questions and really go deep with them. Well, how did that get from here to there in your mind? And what's your reality looking like in this? Right. So it does open up some cool portals. First of all, I want to say congratulations on your sobriety. I know that it's an ongoing battle for most people who do get clean and it's not a linear journey. So, congratulations on continuing to keep that up. You said you used to do AA. So, how are you practicing now? Because I know that AA is also very steeped in God and
Mhm.
religion and all of those pieces. So, I'm curious now what your practice looks like if you're not actively going to AA.
Yeah, so it is definitely rooted in American Christianity. They'll say the Lord's Prayer. They'll
Even though I don't know if you know this, but it was started actually around psychedelics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They leave that part out. Now they make it about Jesus.
Oh, we talk about it, but, there's always a narrative. I remember when I was first in AA and I was starting the steps, I was really resistant to anything that had to do with God because it was just so sour and so sore in my heart still, and I had so much resentment, and I really needed to work through it, but I just couldn't. And whenever we would pray, even the serenity prayer, which is really across all levels, I feel like anyone can hear that prayer, keep my mouth shut and I was so closed off. And there's a step that is basically you need to give your power over to God now. And so when that step came, my sponsor had me write out on one piece of paper on one side, she had me write everything I knew God to be. And then other side of the piece of paper, she had me write out what I wanted God to be. And that was the first time that anyone in my life had let me think, what do I want God to be?
Right. What do I wanna worship?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I've told my whole life who he is. And I just had to deal with that
Yeah.
because that's God. But here I am given the opportunity to explore what is the highest power to me? What would be a God to me?
Hmm.
And figure out basically my highest self, this description. And it really, really opened my eyes and allowed me to start the search, not coming from a place of resentment, but from a place of curiosity. And luckily in LA, things aren't too conservative, obviously, in the rooms in Ohio, they'll say the Lord's Prayer or something, but here everyone had a different story at the end. So I was able to explore that freely and without judgment. And it was a safe space to do that in recovery. And so I'm really grateful for that.
What a blessing that you had found your way from New York to LA at that time to be able to move in that direction of more open space around what is possible. That's really beautiful. How did you get to a place of collecting crystals and selling crystals and creating an entire NFT project that really is about the stars? So I'm curious how you got from your rock bottom to rocks. I'll be here all week, folks. Have you been seeing 1111 or repeating numbers or maybe butterflies or other messages from the universe everywhere and wondering what the heck it means. I know you've been told to trust your intuition, but maybe you just don't know where to start. I've created a course to help you to understand how to interpret the signs and learn to own your intuition. Get access to this 1 hour class now at solo.to/Jana Stern and click the Own Your Intuition link to get your access today. You've been asking the universe what it is that you're meant to do in this lifetime. Maybe you're just going through a phase and need a little bit of extra guidance as to how to come back to yourself. Our birth chart is the map that shows us the path to ourselves and helps us to live in alignment with our purpose. If you want access to a natal chart reading with me, visit solo.to/Jana Stern and visit the janastern.com link to book a session today. Everything is energy, and I know you've been curious to learn more about your energetic body.
Wow. Rock bottom to rocks, baby. I think something that has been truly the essence of who I am that I was able to tap into is my connection to the earth. And that's something that doesn't revolve around superficial things or other people or even myself. The earth is always going to be there, hopefully, and it's accessible whenever you want it. So that was unchanging to me.
Mm,
And I think that kind of sparked my curiosity for crystals because they were these hazy, magical things that grew inside the earth in these crazy formations and colors.
yeah.
And that just blew my mind as someone who is obsessed with shapes and colors and geometry. And just that the earth made that herself was really, really intriguing to me. And when I finally allowed myself to explore the things that I was taught was evil, witchcraft, like crystals, when I finally let myself explore, it just felt so good.
Mm,
And it felt like it just is like, oh my God, I love this. I'm neurodivergent. And so my senses are, I'm very sensitive. And so which is a big thing for me. I have so many, right.
For those in the listeners who are listening and not looking, Coco's just throwing up crystals like gang signs. She's got multiples. I'm with you.
Yeah, you gotta have your arsenal. But I think it was a mix of feeling connected to the earth. Slowly, the earth and the sun kind of became my God. And also, I love collecting. I am such a little gatherer. Um, like,
I had this conversation with Abby actually about how it's such a natural urge to want to just forage. You're like,
yeah,
a shell, a stick, a thing that is definitely only for me that I need to have in my home now.
yeah, that
Yeah.
is me 100,000,000%. I feel my happiest when I'm foraging, just collecting things that make me feel joy that are special, and to have them come from the earth is just even more special. And so I became addicted to the right kind of rock.
That's fantastic. I think that the process of finding your way to connecting with the earth as spirituality, first of all, the earth is our home and we have to love and respect her and put her first because she makes all of these beautiful things for us and we just take them home and make them part of our world. But in reality, this is our world. And I think that it's so important that right now, individually, we all find our way there. And it's fascinating how many people do have the story of, I had to let go of a lot of the things that I was told as a child about what it means to connect with the earth in these ways. And we're lost as a species on that, right? So I think it's kind of a miracle that you're there.
Yeah, I feel we really have gotten so far away from our roots as animals because that's what we are. I like to think of the earth as an animal herself. We're kind of just like fleas on a dog, you know?
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. It's funny because I make the analogy a lot that humans are much like ants. We are so damn busy building our little colonies,
Mhm.
and look what colonization has done to us. So embodying that in this reality is tricky, but it's also really beautiful. You are a very, and you're going to laugh when I say this, you're a very Zen person in a lot of ways, right? Your face right now. That's cool. My 6 panic attacks this morning will tell you that I am, in fact, not Zen. Maybe I'll just say, like, you're very Zen presenting in your life.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. Really, what I mean by that is you have a lot of stoicism. You come across as quite grounded. And even though you might get stuck in your mind, you do bring yourself back into your groundedness pretty well, especially if your sobriety is 3 years fresh. That means that it's been 3 years of presence. What helps you to bring that into your everyday in a way that makes other people think that you're really zen? Give me your chill. I need your chill.
You're really just hiking my ego up. How did I bring that into my everyday life? I think love has just really changed my life. I'm still growing in my own relationship with love. And the more I let go of myself, the more I let love my identity. And when I let love become my identity, it's so much easier to talk to people and to engage in life and just be on this planet.
Speak a little bit more on that because I know that as soon as you say it, there's this easy thing of, oh, well, yeah, you're engaged and you're in a relationship. And so love is easy to access. But I know that that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, not romantic love, although that is a bonus and I'm grateful to have it. You know what? I mean, someone fucks you over and you know that they're hurting. And
mm,
so you love them. You meant to human seeing the same part of God and the person in front of you as you feel in yourself and knowing that we're all one. We're all part of the same source.
mm,
We're all part of the same light. And some of us are turning our lights on, and some of us need some help
mm,
and need us to bring our candles over and light the fire. And the only way that we can do that is if we do it with compassion and empathy and kindness. And there's totally a place for accountability. There's a place for justice.
mm,
There's a way to do those things with love as well. And love is truthful. It's not always easy, right?
mm,
But the best feeling is love. And so if we can ground
mhm.
that feeling in every action that we do, every conversation that we take, at least for me, I'll just speak for myself. If I keep redirecting myself to that feeling of love, it just makes everything better for me.
That's so beautiful. It's inspirational. You've had trauma and you've had abuse happen to you. And are you in that place with those people? Like, do you truly love them?
Dan, yes. And boundaries are love. And like I said, justice
Mm,
is love.
mm,
Yeah, there's a place for all of those things. But I am able to take myself out of this body and see the bigger picture of everything. This is maybe just one life that we're all
mm,
living. There's things in my abuser's life that I don't know. Obviously, they are sick
yeah.
and we need love, which is like, it sucks.
And you don't have to be the one to give it to them.
No, it's not my
Right.
ability, be their source of love, because that's not respecting my body, my soul. But I can love and honor them for the soul that they are behind
Mhm.
me
Yeah.
without having to interact.
Yeah, and pray for their own receiving of the love that they need and the healing that they need. That really is what it all comes down to anyways, right? Hurt people hurt people, so the less that we hurt people, the less people will be hurt. And so transcending all of that and stepping into they did what they did and they're now over there and I love them for what they are and what they could be. And also, I don't need to get them there. It's not my job to save them. I don't have to evangelize them. Somebody else will bring their karma to justice.
This life, and we to be okay with not having closure. That think we need
Mm.
can find wholeness and safety within our own bodies.
That's a super complex one too, because depending on whether or not you've received trauma in your physical body or not, which many of us, particularly in female bodies, have,
Mhm.
the capacity for, and this has been a subject a lot, how do you let love in such a way that it's possible for you to be like, yes, all of these things physically in my body have happened in this reality, in this lifetime. And as I move forward, I also let in the antithesis, right? And I let myself be that love. I let myself be open to all of the abundance and joy and compassion that's available, but still honoring that other part, that is a very hard balance to find.
Yeah, I didn't feel safe in my body. It took time to trust that I was safe in my body, to trust
Mm,
myself
mm.
too.
What helps
Each
you to feel safe?
practice, mindfulness, because mindfulness has taught me that I'm not my body. And I had this really profound meditation one time. This was before, and I was sitting looking at my body hung on a hanger, not in a creepy way. This was my outfit. And I was
My
just like,
meat suit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of disassociating to where,
Sure, not if you're aware of it.
yeah. But it's also very, I think, healing to know that you are not your body. You're in the seat of your soul, kind of watching through the eyes of your body, your avatar,
Mm,
but you're not your body. You can be safe within the boundaries of your physical temple. You can find safety. It might take time to learn how
mm.
and practice, but you're not your body.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. There are so many of these things that we say in the spiritual
Yeah.
world, and we talk about them in this like really laissez faire kind of woo woo way. But every so often, we do have these moments in ourselves where you're like, oh, I'm not really that at all, am I? And then you have this moment of freedom that you can keep coming back to. So it sounds like that meditation was really that for you.
Mhm.
And then from there, would you say that was the start of you just being like, oh, okay, so none of it's real and I'll just keep going on this like none
Mhm.
of it's real thing? Mm,
Definitely. Yeah. That's when I started waking up and
mm,
being like, I'm a spirit. I honor my vessel that I was given because
sure.
healthy, it's functional. I can be physically active. I can go on hikes and stuff, and it does its job. And on top of that, I feel beautiful too. That's just the cherry on top. And
Mm,
so I'm so grateful for my vessel. And I'm so grateful that it's also not me, that like I'm
mm.
actually somewhere.
I imagine as an artist, that must come through you a lot because you make a lot of art of people, but also you make a lot of not people art.
Yeah. So, or a portrait that I did at your event. I've kind of been exploring that lately, that concept of being a spirit, being a soul, and what does that feel like in my mind's eye? And
Mm.
so that definitely comes out in my art, and color is a big part of that.
Yeah, I feel like color is a big part of you.
Hmm. Yeah, it's huge.
Can you talk about how it's evolved for you since stepping on this path? Because I imagine there's just been huge exploration.
Yeah, totally. Do you know what synesthesia is?
Yes, but explain it for those who don't.
Okay. It's kind of like you'll see a color and you'll taste a flavor, or you'll hear a sound, and your senses are wired.
Seeing and feeling and knowing colors in relation
Yeah.
to things that quote unquote shouldn't have color, like
Yes.
sound or taste or
Yeah.
smell. All of a sudden, you're like, I smell purple.
Yes. And I think this sort of sixth sense is waking up a little bit in people. And it's definitely been that way for me. And I think I've felt this since I was a kid, as a little neurodivergent kid who my parents just threw in a gifted program and didn't really want to explore what was really going on. And it started there. And then I lost it. And then when I took away all the substances and was based on my senses, so incredibly heightened, everything came back.
Hmm.
And yeah, people feel like colors to me, and
Oh,
moments feel like colors. And I feel like I have different color days. Yeah, it, like, paints my inner world a little bit is what it feels like.
now I got chills. Is there a color that you feel like love most often? Because from a chakra perspective, I want it to be something, but I'm curious what it is for you.
But, okay, this is gonna be interesting because I don't remember all the chakra colors, so I'm totally
Amazing. For those who are listening, I have an ebook for this. So if you wish to have this, please listen to the following ad and you can follow the link. Understanding the energy body we call our chakra system can help us to connect with ourselves and others more powerfully. Remember that all illness begins as energy before it manifests into dis-ease in the body. When we understand where energy is stored and stuck, we can heal those frequencies. I've written an ebook about the chakra system that breaks down each of the 7 major chakras, how they work, how to know if they're out of balance, and how to activate and align yourself so that you can bring yourself into a state of well being in body and spirit. Ready to activate your chakras? Visit solo.to/Jana Stern and click Get My Chakra ebook right now to purchase your copy today.
get that ebook.
Get that ebook. Tell me what the color is for you.
I would say it's kind of this color. So it's like a orangey brown, which is interesting. You know, you'd think it'd be pink or yellow or something. But I think it's like very grounding and nourishing, like Gaia. It's like warm and it
Mm,
feels like loving earth.
mm.
So that's what I was. What chakra is?
That's your sacral. So that's your creativity. Ha
Okay.
ha ha. The heart is green and pink.
Okay.
So you're right on point. Pink being the high heart, green being the low heart. Interesting that your color for you is the one that brings you back to love, is that very earthy sort of Terra color, because it is this reminder that for you, love is creation. Love is creativity. Love is making something of something, which is what God is, I think.
Mm. You see, I do see.
This has flown by. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for your openness as always. We're very lucky that there's a collection of us that speak pretty openly and beautifully every week, but it's really special to get to have you one on one. And, you're one of my few crypto friends that I've got to hug in IRL. So I have deep, deep love and appreciation for you. Please tell the folks where they can find you on the internet and some of the things that you can provide to people through your services and through your products.
You can find me on Twitter at C0C0 Stardust, Coco Stardust. Um, Handle on Instagram. And I'm an artist first and foremost. I take commissions. You can hire me to do art for you. I could do your portrait. I can do something more abstract. I have a business called Stardust 7 Inc. And if you're in the crypto space, definitely check out our Twitter at Stardust 7 Inc. We have a collection of art pieces that I've created that are also tokens to digital self expression merchandise that I'm designing and getting to use my self expression to create. And that's been really cool. So follow Stardust. And if you love interesting rocks and minerals, you can follow Marvista Minerals on Instagram and you can see some of my own collection. So yeah, thank you, Gianna. This has been so beautiful. Oh, very disarming presence. Like, I'm a are not good thing. What? Is that bad?
Yeah, I don't know, disarming.
Oh, no, I think that's a good thing. I think that's
Okay, I'll take it.
you wanna put your arms down when you're around. That's what I think of. You just feel very comfortable to chat with, and so I appreciate that as a little, like, nervous Nelly.
As a fake chill. I'm glad that you feel that way. I'm like, disarming, do you mean that I'm like grabbing the arms from you, but maybe I just need to take a compliment? Thank you. I do try to have conversations that are meaningful, and it is important to me that my guests and just the people in my life feel comfortable having conversations with me because I do tend to go right down to the depths of
Mhm.
things. And so I'm always like, if we're going to swim down there, I have extra oxygen in my tank. Let's go. So I appreciate you swimming down here with me. Thank you to all of our listeners, as always, for tuning in. We will be back in a couple of weeks with your next episode of I'm Really Into That Stuff. And we will see you all soon. Thanks for listening to another episode of I'm Really Into That Stuff. You can follow along with us on Instagram at I'm Really Into That Stuff or on Twitter at That Stuff Pod. And be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. If this episode resonated with you and something that you're really into, share it with someone you love. Sending you strength, peace, love, and light until our next episode.